according to the seriousness of what we had discovered at that period of time.
Do you know how many federal ridings have been targeted by the communist regime in Beijing?
Through the last 30 years, or the recent?
I'm interested in both numbers, actually.
Well, through the years, we have seen similar riding constantly being targeted, particularly where there was a domination, or a great number, I should say, of Chinese-Canadian residents. These were the hunting ground of the consular office. The work is done by consular officers most of the time, and like I said, we have a certain number, but they were all the time the same ones targeted. And they would fluctuate through time when a specific MP or candidates would present itself newly against the Chinese government, when it was not usual to have aggressions or resistance coming from that riding. But if somebody became vocal, then suddenly they would deploy some effort. But it was fairly stable throughout the entire Canada.
Would you believe it to be productive for you to furnish this committee with a list in writing of those ridings?
I could try to put it together.
Okay, thank you. Are you familiar with the 2022 case of Christine Lee in the United Kingdom? She was the subject of an alert by MI5?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I see Mr. Stanton is nodding. Sir, are you familiar with that case?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I read it. I was following it quite closely, so I read all the media on it.
So you're aware that House of Commons Speaker Hoyle issued an alert to members of Parliament to warn of interaction with Ms. Lee?
Yeah.
Similarly, a similar situation, are you aware of an alert that was issued by the Speaker as the result of information by MI5 concerning Russian influence attempts the year prior?
If I'm thinking about the same one, there was a case in Britain, and I think MI5 was involved, but I think from what I've read in the media, it's of questionable accuracy whether this is some, I think, a British subject who's claimed that he reported to MI5 and they didn't take seriously what he was saying?
No, the case that I'm referring to was influence activities targeting 100 members of the UK House by Russian state actors looking to color their perspective of activities of the government of Ukraine. But we'll stick with the situation that you're familiar with.
Okay.
And that's of Miss Lee. So this issue was raised by MI5, brought to the Speaker of the House, and then members were warned. Why do you think that that's not a practice that's employed here in Canada? We've heard testimony here this morning already that there are state actors working at all levels of government in all political parties, and I think that is surprising. That you know, everyone would say, "Oh, it must be in another party. It must have been another government," and members couldn't be blamed for that because we have an intelligence service that's never told us otherwise. So, So why don't we have that process in place here? And if you could keep your remarks pretty tight, I'll try and get to the other two speakers.
I'll be real brief. I think that particular case in Britain was so egregious that they had intelligence that the money that was coming from the United Front Work Department in the PRC through this British citizen going right into an MP's campaign fund. And I think there was probably a lot more going on. But it wasn't hitting any legal thresholds. So the best the British could do was send out this all-points bulletin to everybody, identifying her, basically saying, stay away, stay clear. She's a foreign influence actor. Now, I wouldn't say the allegations we have in Canada, based on what looks to be pretty sketchy information coming from the media, dribs and drabs, that the Canadian government would issue something like that. That's just my opinion. But I think the British case was so blatant, it provoked that.
I'm out of time, but I'll circle back on this issue and give you an opportunity to respond. Mr. Wilczynski and Mr. Junoketsu, thanks for your response.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. And we've got a roughly